a summer of explosions, babes, and hot chicks, and crappy M. Night Shyamalan films, it's nice to go indie every once in a while. Hello and welcome to my review of Solitary Man, starring Michael Douglas and Danny DeVito. Now, I know what you're thinking. No, Solitary Man is not a film about me. I know, I'm alone in this one pretty big room all by myself, talking to a camera. No response. Maybe it is about me. Or not. Yep, today I was feeling a little tired of big budget explosion Independence Day action films. So, I decided to go see an indie film, and because I like Michael Douglas, I decided to go see this movie, Solitary Man. I'm also interested in that movie, Cyrus. I'm going to be checking that out later this week, but that's beside the point. So, Solitary Man is kind of like Crazy Heart, but instead of an alcoholic, we have a sex addict. What we have here is basically, Michael Douglas plays a car salesman, and he messed up his career by, I think it's like, giving funds to cars that don't exist or something like that. And he completely ruins his career, cheats on his wife, becomes a total sex addict, what have you. And he's just a terrible, low-down person now. Pretty much everybody in his family hates him, and he moves from one young woman to another, hoping that he can make himself feel better for his complete lack of any sort of life. And yeah, that's about it. I'd like to say he goes on a character journey, or that he resolves himself toward the end, or he goes through any sort of change whatsoever. But to be honest with you people, not really. It's incredible to me how much this film is pretty much Crazy Heart all over again, but I like this one better than that film for a couple reasons. First off, it's not as repetitive as that film. Like, this movie actually has, it has a decent storyline. I'm going to give them credit where credit is due. They actually told a pretty authentic, decent character study of this guy, and just how he starts at the bottom and goes further and further down. They actually did a pretty good job of telling that story. It's not a very good story. There's nothing to grab you, nothing that really engrosses you. No character that you really like, nothing. All the characters feel like stereotypes, like this is the daughter, this is the estranged wife. Like, none of them really feel like real fleshed out characters, besides the main character portrayed by Michael Douglas. And unlike Jeff Bridges in Crazy Heart, let me tell you something. I thought Michael Douglas did an excellent job in this movie. I was not a fan of Jeff Bridges, but Michael Douglas, he really plays this character well. He's very believable. I'd like to say you feel for him, but he just does an excellent job of making you hate him. I despised him toward the end of this movie, and that's what I think he wanted to do. And Michael Douglas, he just did a fantastic job in this role. This is one of the best performances I've ever seen from him, to be honest with you. Most of the time, he's pretty bland. I know I haven't seen Wall Street yet. I'm going to have to watch that before Money Never Sleeps, which I'm pretty excited for. But I got to tell you, this movie I'm not a fan of, but Michael Douglas, props. You did a good job. Other actors in this movie include Jesse Eisenberg, who I like better than Michael Cera, but he has very little to do. And that also goes for Jenna Fisher and Susan Sarandon, who both give decent performances, but as I said, all their characters felt like archetypes, and all of them had very little to do. Then again, I realize I am young, and I haven't had this experience. I don't have anybody like this in my family personally. And I realize that this movie may affect people in a certain age group more, just because they maybe know somebody like this. And I understand that's just for me as a viewer going in just trying to watch a movie. It didn't really grab me as anything too great. It's really the exact same opinion I had on Crazy Heart, except that I felt this movie was a little better made than that. But it's hard to really get in depth with this because I literally have the exact same opinion. So overall, yeah. It's a well-made film, and I'd recommend that you see it at some point just for the incredible performance of Michael Douglas. But it's not a movie that you need to go rush out and see. It's a downer for most of it. It doesn't really go anywhere. It's just not a really good movie. But I admire certain things about it, and I can definitely say that I admire things more in this than I did in Crazy Heart. So for that, I'm going to give it 2 stars out of 4. Again, it really isn't anything too special. But if you're bored on an afternoon, seek it out. It's a decent performance, and it's a good one to watch if you're in acting and you want to study performance. It's a decent character study. It's just not anything you'll consider to be a good movie per se.